All right. So cancer treatment breakthroughs, and I dated it because if anybody's ever looking at it, future online, where this information is coming. So September 2023 is kind of where we're at. So the idea for this talk is talk a little bit about cancer, what it is, what treatments are currently out there, but then also what's new, what's coming down the pipeline, and why there's recent hope. So this is not on specific cancers, this is on cancer in general. Okay. If anybody is new on here, I don't think so, but just in case, I'm Kathleen King, and I'm always here to share public knowledge. On these sessions, we don't talk about specific medical advice. Goal is to just clarify your knowledge so that you can feed that back to your care team. I don't have any relevant financial disclosures, but this actually is on, but first platform was the first platform, right? All right, so cancer, what is it? So it's a disease in which some of the body's cells grow uncontrollably and spread to the heart cell. It is a genetic disease, but this doesn't mean like some cancers are because of your genetics. Instead, what they're talking about is it causes changes to our genes. That controls the way our cells function, especially how they grow. Cancer cells invade into nearby areas and spread, all that metastasis. But the fact that they don't stay in one place and create, their own tumor or whatever is really a big concern. They do tell blood vessels to grow towards them. So they have markers within them that actually enhance blood vessels.
Kathy,
Because
could you ask people to mute?
Say it again.
Could you ask people to mute? We can hear a lot of people talking besides you.
And Diane will, but a lot of times it's not me. I might be me because the background noise here is bad. But hold on, I'm going to try something. Let me try something.
Okay.
Let's hope this is a little better because I do think people are for the most part muted. Is this any better? Is this a little better, Diane?
A little bit, yeah.
Okay. My other choice is to pull off my Bluetooth, but I think this will work a little better. Let me just see what's up with the chat.
If everybody could just mute, that would be great.
Again, I think it's me, but I was going to say, I think I should be able to mute everybody otherwise. Is that any better?
That's better on my end.
No or yes?
Yes, that is better. Yeah, everybody muted themselves. That's good.
Okay.
That's great.
Perfect. Okay. This whole growing blood vessels is really a big issue that will come into play when we start talking about advances. And also, cancer cells convince immune cells to protect the tumor instead of attacking it. Another big issue for us when we're trying to fight cancer. So I don't know if most of you know this, but there are certain types of cancers that are most prevalent. It is not the same for males and females. They're kind of different. This is going to be loud. Hold on a second. There you go. And what cancers are the most deadly? So let's talk a little bit about those. If you notice these, so I wanted you to see the difference between 1984, 2007, and 2030 is what they're anticipating, right? So breast cancer for women remains one of the biggest cancers. Lung cancer for men used to be the biggest. Prostate now comes pretty darn close, and they assume that lung cancer will continue to shrink and that prostate will continue to grow. This is just a general makeup, but it certainly shows that we're changing what these cancers are. Uterus cancer is going up by a little bit, lung cancer for women a little bit, colorectal, but breast cancer, they're showing maybe in 2030 going down a little bit, but it's not anywhere near where we would like to see the decrease in breast cancer numbers. The 5 deadliest cancers. Unfortunately, these are the ones that it's just really hard to treat for lots of reasons. Kind of the ones that we already just talked about. But so pancreatic cancer remains just horrible. Liver and bile duct cancers. A lot of times the pancreas and the liver, part of it is because you don't notice them. Like they're not one that's going to be obvious in early stages. Lung is the same. Although they're starting to take smokers and do sometimes screening for them, which is helpful. Esophagus, and stomach. So I'm going to throw this out to you guys. What treatments do you know most about? Has anybody here had any cancer treatments?
Yes, chemo and radiation and surgery.
Again? Try to say that one more time.
Chemo
Okay.
and radiation and surgery.
Yep, and surgery, yep. Anybody else? I mean, the standard for a lot of us is most people know about surgery, chemo, radiation. That was kind of the gold standard for the last, 20 years. Hormone therapy might be something that even somebody who had surgery, chemo, and radiation might still have hormone therapy, right? So it could be suppression of hormones, or it could be increasing hormones. Surgery is another one. Bone marrow transplant, those are very specific for very specific cancers. Chemotherapy, we're used to. Targeted therapy, this is one of the newer advances when we start to target therapy. Radiation therapy, we talk about it, and this immunotherapy, which again is kind of one of the newer options we're starting to get, but being used currently right now. All right, so these are your current options, not for every cancer, but these are what are available in the world of oncology, so to speak. So the hormone treatment, that's considered systemic. And whenever we say systemic, we mean it's traveling all through the body, right? So if you are on estrogen suppression, it's all the way through the body. Surgery. Surgery is typically very targeted. They're going in, they're grabbing something, or they might use it diagnostically, they might use it for staging or for treatment, right? Targeted treatment, sometimes removal of the tumor is kind of all you need, actually. Bone marrow or stem cell. Again, this is a systemic treatment, even though it tends to be injected back into your bone or whatever. It's considered systemic because blood and lymphatic cells travel everywhere in your body. So that's considered systemic as well. Chemotherapy is a cytotoxic. That means it's toxic. It's going to kill cells. But unfortunately, that is also systemic. So in chemotherapy, one of the core side effects is that we're going to kill off good cells too. Like we're going to kill the cancer often, and that's fantastic. But some other cells are going to get damaged in the process. It's not very specific. Targeted treatment therapies, though, they exactly what they mean. They're targeted. The goal is killing only cancer cells, not normal cells. So there's some new ways that they can actually know what DNA they're supposed to go after, and they create the medicine for just that cell. Radiation is a localized treatment, so it's considered a targeted treatment. And that is only trying to kill cancer cells in a specific region. It does also affect other cells in that region, but not to as great an extent. And immunotherapy. So this is when they're actually using your own immune system to kill the cancer cells. So it's systemic in that your immune system travels your whole body, but it's targeted in that it's going to find actual cancer cells, not other cells. So, and this picture just shows what targeted cancer therapy might look like. And this is how it works. The first thing is it blocks or turns off chemical signals that tell the cancer to grow and divide. The second thing is it changes the protein within the cancer cell to actually, hopefully, make the cells die. It stops the cells from being able to make new blood vessels, right? So we stop feeding the tumors. We stop feeding the area. It triggers your own immune system to kill cancer cells. And sometimes it's carrying toxins to the cancer cell, right? So they might create a chemotherapy that literally hunts for the actual cancer cells and kills them, but not the normal cells. And immunotherapy, so that's a part of this immunotherapy. There's lots of different kinds, but checkpoint inhibitors. For some of us, way back in biology, there used to be a lock and key mechanism we talked about with cells. Like things couldn't get into a cell unless the key fit in the lock, right? And then they would get in. Checkpoint inhibitors interfere with the lock key mechanism. CAR T, I'm actually going to talk about that later in this, because CAR T is actually the one that is the most exciting for a lot of oncology. And they're basically taking these generic antigen receptors and altering T cells to actually kind of essentially destroy the tumor cell. Cytokinins, it's just another type of our immune system. And as an aside, for people with COVID, one of the worst things that would happen sometimes at day 8, 9, 10 is they'd have what's called a cytokine storm. So in the case of COVID, it was not helpful. It meant that the body started attacking everything, because the immune system all of a sudden thought every cell was COVID and was going after it. In this case, they have modulated it, so they know what they're doing. Immunomodulators follows right on that. Cancer vaccines, believe it or not, that's like the HPV vaccine is a cancer vaccine, so to speak, for certain cancer. They use monoclonal antibodies and oncolytic viruses. So oncolytic means that it's killing cancer cells. So they actually introduce a virus into your body that would be detrimental to cancer cells. So here are the 8 areas of growth that I actually just started coming across these areas, and it was just exciting to me to think that we really are starting to make progress. So precision oncology, AI or artificial intelligence fighting cancer, greater prediction capabilities. Because if you find it faster, we have a better shot at fighting it. Looking at the cancer DNA and how to alter it. Liquid and synthetic biopsies. For a lot of people, it would be very nice not to have a physical biopsy, and we might be able to do it through liquid or synthetic means. CAR T cell therapy, which again falls under that immunotherapy. Cancer treatment injections, rather than sitting for chemo. I'm going to wait for this. Sorry about that. And then biomarkers, again, for early detection. So 2 of these, the greater prediction capability and biomarkers for early detection, are aimed at just starting to be able to treat the cancer a little sooner. All right. So precision oncology. This one actually identifies changes in cells that might be causing the cancer to grow and spread. So the theory is, if you can see changes in cells that you're not expecting, and then you target that, then might be able to prevent larger spread. This precision oncology has actually been used in a lot of skin cancers when they talk about, how to watch hormonal changes, but they're starting to be able to use it within the body. Artificial intelligence. So this also is, they're talking about accelerating analysis of data to screen for or identify cancers. I was looking at a study, and if they take like sequential x-rays for, let's say, a smoker over 3 to 5 years, AI can actually detect changes in that x-ray before a radiologist can. So again, that gives them the opportunity to go back in and do further testing, maybe a PET scan or something, and try to see it and catch it earlier. This goes to this greater prediction, right? So artificial intelligence, software imaging, to predict the likelihood of cancer in the future, right? So this isn't even they see something. Artificial intelligence in the first case is if they see something. Greater prediction is, hey, when we see changes like this, often this person gets lung cancer in 3 years. It's kind of freaky because I think a lot of people wouldn't like to know that, but it does allow for greater screening, greater surveillance, possibly early on immune or hormone treatment, just to try to prevent. Maybe it'll even get somebody to stop smoking. Who knows? DNA focused research. This is probably still a little out there, but so researchers have identified 58 mutational signatures. And the idea is, if they find the mutational signature of a certain cancer, one, they can identify possibly a cause, but two, you can start to try to think about, a vaccine or a targeted treatment for that particular liquid and synthetic biopsies. So liquid biopsies, the reason there's blood tube there is they do mean blood. So for men, a lot of prostate cancer is caught using a liquid biopsy is what we call it. So a liquid biopsy is we take some blood, we look for markers, and if your marker is elevated, we know that that's a problem. This continues to be an issue with breast cancer, especially because a lot of times they find very small cancers that might be slow growing. We attack full force when sometimes there's not a real problem. So they're talking about like maybe mammograms with a liquid biopsy for more accuracy. And again, we could come back to this CAR T cell therapy. And that's actually removing and altering your own immune cells. So they take some of your immune cells, and in a lab, they actually combine them with some of the cancer cells so that they know what they're looking for. And this has been, they really have started using this, but it continues to evolve to be a little more specific. And they're having actually great results with that. Cancer treatment injections. So this is actually just for faster treatments. The breakthrough would be, instead of sitting and getting chemo for an hour and a half, 2 hours, and having to find veins and blah, 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 could you get a 7-minute injection and be on your way? Certainly might be helpful for quality of life. And biomarkers for early detection. Extracellular testing to identify deadly cancers at stage 1 and 2. So extracellular testing is like lymphatic type testing. So, or even, could you test stool? Could you test urine? Could we identify an early marker for pancreatic, ovarian, and bladder that we could then say, we think we've got an early stage. What can we do now? For those who know, for pancreatic, there's a procedure called a Whipple, and if they're early enough in their disease, a Whipple could create cure. It doesn't always, but it can. And so that's one of the things they want to know about early. So here, reasons for hope. I thought these numbers were really telling, right? So since 1993, there's a 52% decline in prostate cancer. 52. Breast cancer in women, a 39%. Now, our first screen didn't show that, but the other thing that we're doing is, so depending on which stage of breast cancer or what we're calling breast cancer. So there's a little debate that, should in situ areas in the breast be considered breast cancer, or are they like precancerous, like a basal cell? And should they not be put in these numbers? So there's a little bit of a debate in there. So I don't trust this one all that much. 52% decline in colorectal cancer in both genders. Decline in lung cancer in men, 45%. Decline in lung cancer in women, 19%. That one is a little scary because I would even say, I think I saw a number after the COVID epidemic that women's lung cancer is starting back on the incline. And we did lose some ground during COVID because people weren't going in for screenings. They weren't going to their doctors and getting their normal screenings. So notice these end in 2015. I think we've had a pretty good backslide in some of them. But I also want you to be aware. So in doing all this research to kind of take a look at where we are with cancer, I came across this. And so the journal Cancer Prevention has retracted 9 papers from a group out of a Cornell Medical Center. Andrew Dannenberg, not trying to be, I don't think he was trying to do anything wrong, but he ended up using data that wasn't his own. It came from a different lab, and it was subsequently found out that the different lab had manufactured at least some of the data. So all of a sudden, look at how many papers are based off that research, right? So now papers had to be retracted from the Lancet, from the Cancer Discovery, Journal of Biological Chemistry. I always encourage people, if you're going to do some research, please find reputable sources. And the American Cancer Society is actually pretty good. NIH, it's one of our better ones. WHO, the World Health Organization, is pretty darn good too. I find that a lot of studies out of Israel are quite well done, and I do like the Lancet in general out of England. I find that most of their stuff is well documented. Another big push in cancer treatment, finally, is the acceptance and even the promotion of CAM, this conventional, this complementary and alternative medicine. Study after study shows that integrative medicine is an approach that, combined with the other medicine, shows great promise to decrease stress, to increase the performance of the drugs. So if acupuncture can increase the effectiveness of chemo, right? If green tea can help decrease stress, so your body's immune system can kick in when we need it to. These things are really important. Some cancer centers probably have been doing this a long time, but others have not. There's always been kind of a Eastern-Western bias. And what they're kind of saying at this point is we need both. One alone is probably not going to do it for us. And you know me, we wouldn't be doing any of my talks without at least some cancer prevention tips for this time. So if you're smoking, stop smoking. I think all of us know that. Exercise, moderate alcohol or none. Know your family history. If a number of people have had breast cancer or a number of people have had lymphomas, then get yourself in a higher screening time frame. Make sure you're in a program that's looking out for people who have higher risk. Wear sunscreen. That's mostly for our skin cancers. Get immunized. So check with your own primary care, but there are a couple of different immunizations for cancer. Safe sex, helpful, especially when we're talking about reproductive cancers. Regular checkups, limit consumption of red meat. So I'm going to talk on this a little bit because we talk about nutrition all the time. For cardiac, we would say Mediterranean diet. For, for true nutritionists, they might want a plant-based diet. Somebody else might say vegan's the way to go, or no gluten. But red meat is actually tied to some cancers. And again, limit consumption. It's not saying never, it's saying limit it. Red meat is not necessarily our friend. And maintain a healthy weight. So a good BMI is always going to be protective for some cancers, including colorectal. And I just like this, whoever said that winning isn't everything, obviously never had cancer. And then we're going to open this up to discussion. I always show this. My mission, reason I do this is to empower people, hopefully so that with your care team, you will live healthier, happier, at home more, less ER visits. There's lots of available services. I will finish a nurse coaching class this month, and I'll sit for my boards after that. And then I will be a nationally certified nurse coach. So a lot of this stuff can sometimes be handled through coaching, or it's helpful anyway. All right, so I'm going to stop the share, and I really do want to hear from the people on the call, because I think this is one of those sessions where your input might actually be more helpful than mine.
It looks like there are alternatives to chemo. And
There are for
apparently,
some cancers.
chemo, of course, I'm sorry, but chemo, of course, has all those side effects. And it looked like there were alternatives to it. So it depends on the cancer you have?
Yes, there's some cancers that they have been very fortunate. Like I had an aunt who stage 4 lung cancer, and they used immunotherapy, and quite frankly, she almost died from it. We all thought she was going to. She was in the hospital. It was really bad. But we gave her a couple, within a week, 2 weeks, she bounced back. The problem is there are certain cancers that immunotherapy works well with, and they're still working on the other ones. So it's not a throwaway yet. But I think everybody recognizes that chemo is like a down and dirty treatment. It's literally like it works, but we're doing an awful lot of damage on the backside, and we know it. So that's they are trying very hard to minimize those negative effects of chemo. And that's some of the CAM work, right? Like using those other complementary things like nutrition, real targeted nutrition, or stress reduction techniques, acupuncture, deep tissue massage, all those things. They're all designed to limit those horrible side effects of chemo.
Okay, thank you.
I had something recently. It's called Elahir, and it's supposedly targeted, but it was horrendous. I had such terrible side effects from it, and the plate. They said, "Oh, it doesn't affect the blood," but the platelets went down, the red blood cells went down. So there's a lot of work to be done with those things. They're not, it was the new darling that everybody was trying to get into, and it's very hard. I had one session.
Robin,
I don't know if I'll do a second. I'm going to talk
I have
to
to say that thank you for giving it a try, because everybody who tries something new is helping us to gain information. And it's awful to be the guinea pig, but at the same time, if the choice is nothing, or maybe this will work, that's they really are sometimes, like just shooting in the dark a little bit. But did it do anything to lower the amount of cancer in your body?
Well, I don't know. I'm waiting for my CA 125 tonight. And I'll speak to the doctor tomorrow. So for some people it has, and others it hasn't.
Right. So it's the same deal. They're not sure what exactly, like they're missing something, because otherwise it would work for everybody, right?
Right. It's targeting a receptor. I forgot the name, which one. Rick, do you remember which one? Oh, okay. It's targeting some sort of receptor, and it's supposed to go to that and then just implode the cancer in that. And I don't know, for me, I had the worst reactions.
Oh, I'm so sorry about that.
Yeah,
Um,
thanks.
if it saves you, it might have been worth the reaction, but it might not be if it did nothing, right? That's a hard ask.
Gonna find out. It's a very tough thing, like at this point, when to stop the chemo and when to continue, because it's hell either way, getting the symptoms of the disease, and it's hell being in the chemos, so many. It really takes a toll on you.
Do you use any alternative therapies?
Yeah, I'm trying to. I was doing well, this is why I'm looking for a naturopath to help me, but I was doing the acupuncture and was trying the fasting, different supplements. I was working with a functional nutrition person, those kinds of things. And interestingly enough, the doctors don't want you, or at least at my center, to do things because it might interfere with the chemo.
So, I've seen this go a couple of different ways. I know what you're saying, but usually, as long as they work as a team, as long as the functional doctor, or a doctor that's more of a naturopath is talking to them and telling them what it is, there really shouldn't be any conflict, and they should be very open to it. It's one of those things, like I said, that Eastern and Western medicine, they are starting to meld them together. I understand that if they give you something that they can't relate to, that's a problem, but they should be able to talk to each other. and
Robin,
and
I just
sometimes
wanted to- No,
sometimes
Robin,
Robin,
I wanted
that's what
to
I
say
do, is I help people talk to each other
Yeah,
positively.
that's good.
Yeah,
And the other thing is I'd like to find a naturopath, but it seems like that's daunting as well, because there's a million people saying they can do everything.
well, that's what I
We're-
wanted
we're-
to ask Robin. First of all, Robin, I'm so happy to see you. And I wish I
Hi.
could get my video so I could wave to you and give you lots of love. But Kath, I don't know if you have any connections down here, because Robin had talked to me earlier today about about whether or not, she's looking for somebody to support her in this regard. I don't know if you have
Right.
any connections down here in New York area that might, or if you know anybody that could connect her down here in this area to get a nutritionist, or what was the other word you used?
Naturopath or
Yes.
or functional medicine doctor or
Right,
something.
functional medicine doctor. You know what? I think I do actually. I have a cousin who uses one. It's not on the island. She's in, I think, Rockland County, but she's a great source. So I have no problem reaching out to her and seeing if we can locate somebody.
That would
She
be
loves her. I mean, I know they're in New York State, but that doesn't necessarily mean it's close.
Thank you.
Anybody else? I know that was that was the quickest overview ever of cancer. So believe me, I know the limitations of this particular presentation, but I guess I just wanted to get out there that that there are advances being made, that, you know, what was happening 20 years ago is not really where they are now. And that's encouraging. Not perfect, as Robin, you know, clearly shows us, but it's encouraging.
No, it was great, Kath. Thanks so much. I mean, I feel like even though I've been around this for a while, I appreciate, it was just really great presentation. Thank you so much.
I thank you for being on. I felt like I was in your neck of the woods, but I couldn't get to you. I came down to JFK because my mom is flying with me tonight.
Oh, okay. Oh.
Thank you. All right, we're going to end a little early then, I think. If anybody has any, Robin, I'm just going to state, I did see your email today. I'll be responding to you privately offline. Okay.
Oh, that would be great. Appreciate it. Thanks so much.
Okay. Thank you, everybody, for attending. Next month is COPD, lung cancer, COPD, lung function, asthma, things like that. And it'll be online. Okay.
Fabulous.
Great.
Thank you, Kath.
We might have
Thank
to
you,
take
Kath.
off work.
All right. I'll see you guys. Thanks so much.
Thank
you.
you. Bye-bye.
Good night.
Bye. Great to see your face, Liz, too.
You too, Kyle. Bye.
Bye.